Opa, acertando o tempo aqui. Ao tempo, ao tempo. Boa noite. Eu sou Marcelo Araújo e nós começamos aqui mais uma edição de A Live. Mais de 200 entrevistas realizadas com pessoas das mais diversas áreas. E hoje nós vamos receber aqui a banda norte-americana, a banda de Nova York, Your 33 Black Angels, que está no Brasil. Eles estão encerrando uma turnê, né? Ontem fizeram o último show em São Paulo, né? Passaram também por Juiz de Fora, Santo André, Brasília, Curitiba, Goiânia e agora estão encerrando a turnê. Nós vamos receber hoje 3 integrantes da banda aqui. Vamos receber aqui o Dan Rosato, né? O Josh Westfal e o Anthony Spinnato. Logo dentro de alguns instantes eles vão estar aqui para falar com a gente. Eles estão em São Paulo, né? 2 deles, infelizmente, não vão poder participar desta live, que são justamente o Don Reeve e o Daniel Romba, porque eles já pegaram um avião para voltarem para Nova York, né? Mas teremos aqui as presenças de Dan Rosato, Josh Westfal e Anthony Spinnato, ok? Só aguardando aí uns segundos, eu acabei de falar com o Josh, eles já estavam de prontidão aí para entrarem aqui nesta live e falarem com a gente, né? Então só esperando aí alguns instantes, que acredito que já o pessoal está chegando, né, para conversar com a gente. Essa banda que foi formada na cidade de Nova York, como eu falei, no começo dos anos 2000, ou seja, eles já estão aí com uns 20 anos de estrada, eles têm vários discos gravados. Esta foi a segunda turnê deles no Brasil. A primeira aconteceu em 2018, a segunda foi agora. Como eu falei, passou por várias cidades, tive o privilégio e a oportunidade de assisti-los em Brasília, inclusive de conhecer a banda, os caras muito legais. Estou aqui inclusive com a camiseta deles, Your 33 Black Angels, uma banda de indie rock com várias referências na música eletrônica, na psicodelia, né? No noise pop, no folk rock. Eles têm um som bem interessante, então eu recomendo que você procure ouvir esse grupo bem legal. Estou só realmente falando aí um pouco aqui, esperando os nossos amigos chegarem, né? E eu acredito que eles já devam estar chegando. Eu falei com o Josh há pouco, tá certo? Então, só esperando um pouquinho aí, beleza? Dando um tempinho, mas eu acho que eles já estão chegando. O convite aqui, só um instantinho. Acabei de falar com o Josh e ele pediu para mandar o convite para ele. Enviei o convite, chamando ele para esta live aí, esperando então o pessoal da banda Your 33 Black Angels chegando já. Acabei de falar com o Josh aqui, dei uma pausinha aqui na live e fui ali no WhatsApp. Ele estava me pedindo para mandar o convite. Acabaram de chegar e eu vou enviar aqui a solicitação para eles participarem da live. Hi. Hello. I think the camera is in the position. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Marcelo.
Hi. How are you, my friends? Josh. Okay, Josh, Dan, and Anthony Spinnato. Okay, be welcome to this interview. It's a pleasure having you here tonight. Hi, Anthony. Hello.
He said hello to you. Hey, how you doing?
Okay, I'm fine. I think the sign of the connection is okay. Okay, I see you. Pessoal, boa noite então para todo mundo. Deixa eu apresentar aí os integrantes. Eu vou falar um pouco em português e vou traduzir também. O Josh fala português, aprendeu. Quero inclusive perguntar para ele como que ele aprendeu a falar português. Mas tem o Dan também, fala umas palavras, o Anthony. E aí, quando for necessário, eu também faço uma tradução aqui do inglês para o português. Então, em primeiro lugar, welcome for being here today. Thank you so much, guys. You have an incredible sound. I really like your music. I really like your show. lot of energy. Eu falei para eles, agradecer por estarem aqui hoje. Falei que a música deles é muito boa, que eles têm muita energia, o show deles tem muita energia, como os brasileiros viram recentemente. So, hi, Josh. Olá, Josh.
Olá, Marcelo, certo?
Hi, Dan. Dan Rosato. And hi, Anthony Spinnato. Everything fine. Então, chamei aí, primeiro o Josh, e segundo o Dan, e logo agora o Anthony Spinnato. And just to begin, I would like to hear a little from each one of you about how the tour is going, your impressions about Brazil and its culture, and what you like about this country, the Brazilian audience. How is everything doing? It's your second time in Brazil. Então eu tô falando, perguntei para eles como é que o que é que eles estão achando dessa nova turnê deles no Brasil, né? O que é que eles acham do Brasil e da cultura brasileira, né? E também do país, né? Da plateia brasileira. Oh, gente, acho que a gente teve um pequeno. Daniel.
Yeah?
Ok.
Ei, desculpa. Não estava conectando direitinho.
Hi guys.
Agora, it's working.
Just a minute, I guess this. Hi. Are you listening?
Yeah, we're listening. It's a little hard to hear right now. It's a little hard to hear where we are.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just took the phones off. Let me try again with the phone. Sometimes it happens with
It's better
Instagram.
without headphones.
Hello,
Yeah.
you listen to me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I will ask the question again because we had a little problem with the connection. Okay, guys, I will talk in English and then I'll translate. Just to begin, I would like to hear a little from each one of you about how the tour was. How was the tour? Né? Your second tour in Brazil, your impressions about this country and its culture. What do you like in Brazil? What about the Brazilian audience?
You go first.
Sure. I mean, it's my first time in Brazil. I think it's a beautiful place. We've had fabulous food. We drove almost the entire length of the country, so we got to experience quite a bit of it. We went into the favelas. We did quite an experience. We saw some burning tires. It was a good time. I think the music scene is very vibrant, very different than New York. Very, I would say indie, but, connected at the same time. It was fun. Here's Josh.
Ok, boa noite.
Boa noite.
Não consigo ouvir direitinho porque eu tenho ouvidos ruins, mas eu vou responder em inglês, sabe? E talvez vamos bater um papo em português se eu consigo ouvir alguma coisa, sabe?
Você está me ouvindo agora? Você me ouve agora? Can you listen to me?
Tô ouvindo mais ou menos, sabe? Mas era piada de músico também. Que foi? Sabe? But,
okay.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, okay. We liked it a lot. The second tour, and the first tour was one of our better tours, and this is better still. We tried to get more shows in the interior and and the interior as opposed to just São Paulo and the litoral. So that's how we ended up going to Curitiba again and Goiânia, and that's why we passed some tire fires. And so what we did was we went back past crazy Bolsonaristas, and we just took, went into the quebrada, which was Lula country, so we felt more comfortable there, But aside from that, it was a good tour. And where are you, Brasilia? Yeah, Brasilia was great. That was the first time. I'm a big fan of Oscar Niemeyer, so maybe we booked that show just because of Oscar Niemeyer. Here comes Dan.
Okay, Dan.
Hey, Marcelo, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. Yeah. Well, yeah. First of all, it's really nice to see you and talk to you again. The
Thank you
tour
so
has been
much.
really fun. Yeah, of course. The tour's been really fun. We've got to see a lot of really cool bands in a bunch of different places and really interesting sort of music. Kind of a lot of sort of rock bands, sort of alternative rock bands like us, but also a little bit more traditional sounds mixed in. It's stuff that we don't really get to see a lot in the United States. So it's been really eye-opening and kind of inspiring to see people doing music similar to us, but also kind of in a much different way. And the audiences have been really fun and really receptive. We played in a lot of different venues, from like really sort of bigger professional stages to smaller kind of cafes and a couple of really small underground spots in the city. So we've kind of seen a range of environments for the music, and it's been fun to sort of watch it translate in different places and kind of see the way people vibe to it in the different areas. So overall, it's been a wonderful experience. And Josh said the last tour we did here was wonderful, and this one has been even better. So hopefully we can come back sometime soon and even build on that to have something better.
Ok, vou traduzir aqui rapidamente o que os rapazes falaram, começando pelo Anthony, né? O Anthony Spinnato falou que ele estava gostando muito da viagem, né? Enfim, falou que achou que eles gostou muito de apreciar a cena musical brasileira, né? Achou bem vibrante, né? Diferente da cena musical de Nova York, que é a cidade de origem da banda, né? Mas eu sei que o Anthony, ele é de Baltimore, e também eles visitaram vários lugares legais, né? Tiveram a oportunidade de ir a comunidades, né? Conhecidas também como favelas, né? O Josh, ele falou assim que eles tentaram dessa vez na atual turnê ir mais para o interior do país, né? Não ficar só em São Paulo e nem no litoral. Então eles foram para Goiânia, voltaram para Curitiba, estiveram em Brasília. Ele disse que gostou muito de ter vindo a Brasília porque ele é um fã do Oscar Niemeyer. Foi o período que eles estão viajando de carro, né? Viajaram de carro pelo país, né? Pelo país, assim, pelas cidades onde eles se apresentaram, tocaram aí no Centro-Oeste, no Sudeste e no Sul, viajando de carro. Inclusive, na semana passada, eles pegaram esses bloqueios que estão acontecendo pelo país, né? Esses atos antidemocráticos, né? Realizados por manifestantes de extrema direita, né? Mas que ele está muito feliz, assim, pelo fato do Lula ter ganho a eleição, que ele está aqui no Brasil, ter vindo ao Brasil nesse momento, né? Então ele está gostando disso, né? Falou que os lugares são muito bonitos, enfim, a comida é fabulosa. Em relação ao Dan, ele falou o seguinte, que eles tiveram contato, né, com muitas bandas de rock brasileiras, bandas alternativas, artistas alternativos que abriram para eles, né? E que ao mesmo tempo em que tem um som parecido em alguns aspectos, o som diferente em outros aspectos, tocaram em vários lugares, como pequenos cafés. Falou muito bem da plateia, falou que a plateia tem uma energia muito legal, muito bacana, muito divertida, né? Tá gostando bastante dessa turnê, o D. Disse que a primeira turnê foi maravilhosa, mas que essa está sendo mais legal ainda. E o Anthony, é a primeira vez dele no Brasil, já que ele entrou recentemente no Brasil, na banda, né? A banda esteve aqui em 2018 e voltou agora, 4 anos depois, coincidentemente nos períodos eleitorais. Thank you, guys. Obrigado aí também às pessoas que estão chegando para acompanhar essa entrevista. Então, eu sei que o Josh fala um pouco de português. Josh, how did you learn to speak Portuguese? Como você aprendeu a falar português? Você fala português.
Primeiro eu vou dizer, é bem impressionante como você consegue lembrar, muito menos traduzir tudo isso, meu. Tipo, eu mal consigo lembrar que estou falando ou pensando, tipo, 30 segundos atrás. Então, parabéns.
Obrigado. Thank you.
And then one more thing, I want to say hello to our bass player, Daniel Bombach. St. Daniel, and and JR. They're in the airport right now, so they're tuning in. So if you guys want to say hello to anybody wants to say hello to them, ou falar qualquer besteira, manda mensagem. Como eu consegui, sei lá, acho que eu sempre curti os sons do Gilberto Gil e Gal Costa e Roberto Carlos, que fala muito nitidamente, né? E sei lá, um dia eu comecei a ler em português porque eu sempre falava um pouco de espanhol. Sabe que agora eles conseguiram juntar um bagulho aqui do aeroporto. Mas enfim, acho que era Roberto Carlos, Gilberto Gil, Gal Costa. Os filmes como Carandiru, eu assisti Carandiru 25 vezes e como uma criança, sabe? E isso. Rubem Fonseca me ensinou também, devo dizer.
Que bacana. Que bacana, que bacana, Josh. Aprendeu o idioma por meio da arte, né? Ouvindo música, vendo filmes. E aí, só para mostrar para vocês um flash aí, direto do aeroporto de Guarulhos, né? O Daniel Romba e também a presença do John Reeve, que eles estão no aeroporto, eles conseguiram fazer uma breve conexão aqui para dar um alô para a gente. Thank you so much, guys, and have a nice trip to the United States. Thank you. Thank you so much. Acho que a conexão deles caiu, mas enfim, pelo menos eles apareceram aqui para dar um alô. And I would like to know now, how did the band come about? How did the band come about? And what does the name Your 33 Black Angels mean?
What do you say?
How does the band come about? And what does the name mean?
Oh, I'm not answering that.
Okay, fine. We thought we were a new guy. But, you know, how did the band come about? Well, it didn't, you know, like we just started recording because I like recordings better than shows a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, they're two different things. So we started recording and there was no like band for a long time. And even now there's been maybe 50 to 100 members. So yeah, the band didn't really come about. There was recordings, and then one day we put out an album. There was maybe three guys, like 4 guys in the beginning, but then within a couple of years that changed, or a year, and then what does the band name mean? I don't know. It just sounds witchy. So yeah, there was a song that had a lyric in it, but the song wasn't that good, so we just took the name, you know, and it sounded witchy, and I could be sure that no one would have a silly sounding name. And then people always called it Y33BA2. Some friends said that, so we do that. We call it interchangeably, and if people get confused, so be it.
Ok. Então, eu perguntei para o Josh, perguntei para os rapazes, né, como é que a banda surgiu, né, como é que a banda começou, né, e eles falaram que a banda começou gravando, né, em estúdio, que eles gostam mais de gravar até do que de tocar ao vivo, né, que durante muito tempo eram mais ou menos 3 membros da banda, né, gravando, e ele fez até uma brincadeira, né? Em alguns momentos tem de 52 a 100 membros a banda. E eu perguntei também o que quer dizer esse nome, Your 33 Black Angels. Seus 33, em português quer dizer seus 33 anjos negros. E ele falou assim que não quer dizer muita coisa não, que na verdade era o seguinte, eles tinham uma música que eles chegaram a compor, chamada Your 33 Black Angels, né? E que eles acabaram não gostando muito da música, mas resolveram aproveitar o título dessa canção para ser o nome da banda, e é um nome que soa bem. Okay, I'd like to know now. The band mixes some references such as indie rock, noise, pop, electronic music, psychedelia, folk. And can you guys talk a little about the sound of the band? Eu falei para eles o seguinte, que o grupo tem algumas referências musicais, né, como o indie rock, o noise, o pop, a música eletrônica, a psicodelia e o folk. E pedir para eles falarem um pouco sobre o som da banda. Can you talk a little about the sound of the band, your music?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times we don't have a specific sound that we're striving to find. I think we sort of, a lot of times it comes through improvisation, and we just sort of find things that we like and go with it. So it's not so much of a planned sound aesthetically, but you know, we like you say, we like noise. We like sounds that maybe don't fit with the instruments that they're coming from in some weird way. So, you know, kind of like twisting the sound of our instruments to do something a little bit different, you know. And then we like to dance, so we like to have a nice beat. We like to have a nice bass line. We like to have a nice vocal hook, maybe, that you can kind of remember. But surrounding that, maybe it will be a little more, I don't know, how do you say, maybe a little cloudy or something kind of more, I don't know. It's tough to put a name to it. So I feel like it's just something we kind of come up with on our own in our imagination, and then it just happens through the speakers.
Ok. Eu vou traduzir rapidamente o que Dan falou antes de passar para outro integrante. Ele falou o seguinte: eu perguntei sobre essas influências, e ele falou o seguinte, que eles não têm assim um som específico, né? Tem muita improvisação, né? Que eles não planejam muito esteticamente como vai soar o som. Que ele falou que gosta desses sons que eu citei, tipo noise, né? Enfim, eles também gostam de uma instrumentação, sons com instrumentação tocada de uma forma diferente, não convencional, né? Que eles são, às vezes, soam de uma forma, ele usou a palavra cloudy, né? Seria um pouco nebuloso, né? E que eles, enfim, o som deles é um som que sai da imaginação e eles tocam. Do you want to talk, Josh?
Você falou alguma coisa?
No, about the sound of your band. Do you want to talk something about the sound?
To answer that? Yeah. Primeira coisa eu quero dizer tá frio pra cacete em São Paulo agora. Só pra você saber. Okay? That's it.
Okay.
About the sound. Yeah, Dan said it pretty good. I don't know. The thing is, like, whatever I like, I don't want to try to do it. And then if we try to do it, then it doesn't really sound like it anyways, you know? You know what I mean? Like, if we try to sing something like that's similar to Os Cinquans, you know, are they from Rio or Bahia? I don't know. But we could try, but it wouldn't really sound like Cinquans, you know what I mean? So yeah, a lot of the time, the things that happen the best are complete mistakes. And they're definitely in the studio, they're mistakes. And that's probably the best thing about studio is that I would say the only thing that really, there are a few approaches. The thing that we don't do a lot is like trying to capture a live performance in the studio, because I feel like that was done for 50 or 60 years or 70 years. And it was done just fine then. So maybe we try to make it more orchestral. And a lot of my favorite records are just orchestral based. They're not based on trying to show you a person with his hands in a room. That's probably the main thing I try to avoid. And the other thing I try to avoid, it's hard because if you play music at all, you can sometimes picture people playing it. And if I can picture somebody playing it, or it sounds like, or I could picture the drum set, I'm like, this has to go. So that's the only thing I try to avoid, and even that I don't think it should be avoided, because if it's good, it's good. So that's not a rule. There's no rules. Anthony?
Ok. Só complementando um pouco, o Dan tinha falado há pouco, antes do Josh, que eles também gostam de fazer um som dançante, então eles dão muito valor à batida. E o Josh falou agora o seguinte, que não, eles não conseguem, nem tentam, né, necessariamente reproduzir o tipo de som que eles gostam. Então ele fala, por exemplo, se a gente que se eles fizerem isso, eles vão fazer um som diferente do original, né? E ele até citou um exemplo, se a gente for querer fazer um som no estilo do Rio de Janeiro, de músicas do Rio e da Bahia que a gente goste, não vai soar como esse som, vai sair uma coisa diferente. Então ele está dizendo de uma certa forma que eles têm uma influência e que essa influência é filtrada e acaba se transformando em outra coisa. Falou também da questão de como é no estúdio, que às vezes eles gostam de reproduzir um certo clima meio que de tocar ao vivo, de pegar a energia desse formato, e que não tem muitas regras, né, para fazer a música deles. Anthony, you want to speak something about the music?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let Anthony talk in 1 second, but I just want to add something really quickly. And just so you know, it's a little hard to hear you where we are, which is why when you're talking, you don't see our faces because we're holding the phone up to our ears so we can hear you better. But I just wanted to add, I think there's one main difference is that our recordings and our live performances oftentimes sound very different from each other. So when we talk about, a lot of times maybe in our live performances it takes on a more direct sort of rock and roll kind of sound with guitars and stuff like that, but many times in the studio we're sort of striving to find something that's a little more sounds a little more different, and sometimes stuff that we can't actually do live, that we would never be able to do live. So what you saw at our show versus what maybe you'll listen to if you listen to a recording, they may sound totally different, and that's something we kind of are working towards, finding all the time too. So, but I'll let Anthony speak about the sound. He's got a lot to say.
Yeah, sure.
Ok, o Dan só acrescentou aqui que normalmente a gravação em estúdio, quando eles vão tocar ao vivo, soa de uma forma, assim, digamos, mais rock and roll, mais energética, né? Que nunca é parecido com o que eles gravaram, né? Então, se você ouvir a gravação de estúdio e for vê-los tocando ao vivo, você vai ter aí momentos, você vai ter percepções diferentes sobre o som da banda. Hi, Anthony.
Yeah, I guess as the newest member of the band, I definitely tried to listen to a lot of the recordings to learn the songs and get comfortable with the music, and then we all get in a room together, and that's basically only good for like the form, just kind of like learning where's the chorus, where's the verse. But a lot of times I feel like what actually happens is just what works for live, what builds, what doesn't build, what people want to dance to, and then it's just a lot of listening to what sounds right.
Okay, and just and something that I want to tell you, have a very heavy drum. You play very loud, very good.
Thanks.
And written, very, very nice beating.
Yeah, it's fun to play along with a drum machine. Like, that's not something I do very often, so it definitely keeps me honest to the tempo, but it leaves a lot of room for hitting things very hard.
Ok, então assim, o Anthony estava falando, o Anthony falou que como é o membro mais novo da banda, né, ele tenta, enfim, ele fica ouvindo as coisas antigas, né, que foram gravadas antes dele, para aprender as canções, tentar entender como está determinado verso, determinado acorde, né, como é que isso pode ser construído para dar, digamos, mais pulsação, né, mais força para a música, né. E eu falei para ele, comentei, né, que eu gostei muito da batida dele, que achei uma batida pesada e ao mesmo tempo com balanço, né, com, digamos, um swing, né, e ele falou que ele realmente gosta de tocar dessa forma e tal, que ele não se sente tão confortável, digamos, às vezes, de usar uma drum machine, né, que seria aquela bateria eletrônica. Enfim, mais ou menos isso. Ok, guys, and I'd like to hear from each one of you about your influences and how you start to get involved with music. We can begin with you, Josh.
Okay.
What are your influences?
What was the second part?
And how did you get involved with music? How you begin getting involved? You began getting involved with music.
I don't know how it started, but I know
how it started.
It's funny because I don't know if I like everything the same, but I feel like I don't feel like I've ever maybe developed uh, a lot. You know, I feel like I like the same thing. I used to think that the Beatles, you know, the early Beatles was too cheesy, you know, and I'm like 9 years old. Oh, the Beatles, yeah, they're too cheesy. The late Beatles is much better or something. But I've changed my mind about that. I like the early Beatles as well. Um, but as far as bands, like the biggest influences, mostly probably the pop stuff, you know, because I like a lot of experimental stuff. Or I like Alice Coltrane, but I think Alice Coltrane is just like New Order. I don't know. She's very like repetitive, but she's very seductive. So you know, I like that kind of like repetitive but seductive but catchy. You know, I don't really like too much. I like a little bit of experimentation, but I don't like pure experimentation. I don't like things that are impressive. I don't like impressive writers. I don't like impressive poets, except for Wallace Stevens or maybe no, I mean Carlos Drummond. He's a great poet, and he's not. He doesn't try to be impressive. So there you have it. And so I like a lot of music that doesn't like. Some of it can be virtuosic, but I don't like. I generally like simpler or dark and simple. So who do I like? I don't know. New Order. I love New Order. Um, Stevie Wonder, Prince. Uh, the list is getting a lot smaller. The Kinks. I like the Kinks. I like a lot of Britpop. I like from Brazil. I like Ana Frango Elétrico. Do you know Ana Frango? Ana Frango
Ana
Elétrico.
Frango.
Yeah, Ana Frango Elétrico is phenomenal. There are a couple Brazilian bands out there. I don't want to mess up their mojo there by talking too much about them. But yeah. Who else? Roberto Carlos,
Ok.
Lulu Santos,
Lulu
Fagner.
Santos.
O primeiro
Olha
disco do
só.
Fagner é uma obra-prima brasileira. Frufru Maneiro, Frufru, não lembro o nome. O último
Frufru
patriarca
maneiro.
esse disco. Tá? I'll go to Dan.
Hey, what's the question? Is how do we start with music, and what are the influences? That sort of the
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing various instruments since I was pretty young, with piano, trumpet, you know, playing in elementary school bands, middle school bands, stuff like that. And then once I got a little older, starting in like playing rock music when I was, you know, in high school or whatever. You know, when I grew up, it was in sort of in the 90s, so I was a really big fan of like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden, all that great 90s rock that came out of America. But, you know, I feel like you're kind of always getting influenced by the latest thing that you hear that you love, and everything. One of the best things about music is it's always changing, and your taste will always change if you follow into new territory. So it's like every year it feels like I come across a new band that opens my mind to a different kind of approach towards making music. And, you know, I can list a few bands that I really love, and I guess like all of these types of musicians and music are influences in keeping me interested in playing. Maybe not so much in exactly what I want to play or how I want to make music, but you know, listening to a band like Can, for instance, for the first time, kind of changed my perception of how you could approach music and how much space you could use inside of a song, or how much you know, kind of repetitive motif you could have, and how you could build interest doing the same thing instead of constantly changing. You know, I listen to a lot of classical music, even like Chopin and like nocturnes and piano music and stuff like that influences sort of how I think about harmony and mood, and how you sort of can change those sort of things. But really, like I said before, I think I'm just kind of always getting turned on to something new, and always pushing the boundaries of what is possible in my head when it comes to music, and that's kind of never going to stop. So I kind of hear what Josh is saying. It's like you're not really developing, but you're also always developing at the same time. It's not necessarily conscious, it's more sort of unconscious. It happens under the surface just by always being open to new sounds. So I got my ear out all the time for new stuff, old stuff and new stuff, as long as it's new to me.
Okay.
It's Anthony now.
Okay, Anthony.
Hey. So
Hey.
my dad played drums, and he taught me how to play the drums when I was 5. So I've been trying to do that ever since, you know. It wasn't until, I guess, high school I got into recording and got really interested in like breaking apart what's actually happening in music. That's when I started to, I guess, get invested more in the process. But for me, I don't really have the capacity to listen to lyrics when I'm listening to music, because I just hear everything else that's going on and try to dissect and figure out why and what and how. So it's really only the really simple music that is like undeniably correct that makes me like listen to lyrics. And I think that's the music that I like maybe the best. You know, it's hard to pick a favorite artist when I listen to so much music, but you know, influences for me on drums are like Buddy Rich to Dave Grohl, so all over the place.
Ok. Ok, vou traduzir aqui rapidamente o que eles falaram, né, em relação eu perguntei para eles, né, que tipo de música que eles, as influências musicais deles e como que eles começaram a se envolver com a música. O Josh, ele falou que ele não lembra, não sabe exatamente como começou, mas que aos 9 anos de idade ele já ouvia muito Beatles, né? Gosta muito dos Beatles, principalmente da fase inicial deles, né? Ele citou também a Alice Coltrane, né? Que era esposa, pianista de jazz norte-americana, já falecida, esposa do fantástico saxofonista de jazz John Coltrane, né? Autor de clássicos como a Love Supreme. E ele falou que ele gostava muito do som da Alice Coltrane, que ele gosta de uma música, digamos, não tão impressionista, né, que ele gosta assim de... Citou também, no meio desse caminho aí, escritores que ele gosta, citou poesia, citou o Carlos Drummond de Andrade, escritor brasileiro, né? Diz que ele gosta de canções, às vezes, mais simples e às vezes sombrias, né? Simple and dark songs, né? Canções sombrias, soturnas, né? Citou o New Order como uma das bandas que ele gosta muito, a banda inglesa New Order, surgida ali no começo dos anos 80 a partir do Joy Division, né? Grande banda do post-punk britânico. Citou também influências da música negra norte-americana, como Stevie Wonder, Prince. Falou que gosta muito de Britpop, citou The Kinks, citou música brasileira, Ana Frango Elétrico, o nome da banda, eu não conheço, ele citou essa banda, diz que ouviu muitas bandas legais brasileiras. Roberto Carlos é uma influência que ele gosta, citou Fagner, já falando em português, o disco Frufru Maneira, né? Um clássico aí do Fagner da década de 70, Lulu Santos. E aí o Dan, falando sobre as suas influências, né, disse que ele começou a tocar instrumentos muito cedo, né? Que na escola ele tocava alguns instrumentos e depois na high school, que seria, digamos, o ensino médio brasileiro, correspondente ao high school americano, ensino médio brasileiro, ele começou a tocar em banda de rock, e isso foi na década de 90, quando ele se ligou muito nos sons roqueiros que estavam surgindo naquela época, como Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, mas ele falou também que ele é muito aberto, está sempre procurando ouvir novos sons, que esses sons abrem a percepção dele, abrem novas portas, então ele está sempre procurando novas bandas, novos artistas para ouvir, e com isso ele vai mudando a visão dele da música, que ele gosta de ouvir bandas antigas, mas também gosta de ouvir bandas novas. Citou a banda de krautrock alemã Can, né, como uma banda revolucionária aí, uma banda que mudou a percepção dele, mudou a visão dele em relação à música, né? E citou mais algumas coisas. Diz que gosta muito de música clássica, piano, Chopin. E o Anthony falou que ele toca bateria, o pai dele é baterista e que ensinou bateria para ele a tocar bateria quando ele tinha 5 anos de idade, que desde então ele vem tocando a bateria, né? Que ele, às vezes ele não se liga quando a música tem muitas informações, ele acaba não se ligando tanto na letra, então ele diz que em alguns momentos ele gosta de ouvir músicas mais simples, porque assim ele consegue se ater à letra, prestar atenção na letra, e citou como duas influências dele na bateria, o Buddy Rich, lendário baterista de jazz, e Dave Grohl, ex-baterista do Nirvana e também vocalista e eventualmente baterista do Foo Fighters, ok? Banda americana. And guys, what do the group's composition talk about, and how does the creative process work?
Wow.
What was the question?
You said how does what do the compositions talk about, and how does the creative process work?
Yeah.
Whew, that's a tough one.
I got this. No, I'm just kidding.
I think I could say it started at least mostly concerned lyrically. Maybe are you talking about?
Yeah.
Started mostly with like fantastic stuff. I think from the name, not just the name, but a lot of the lyrical stuff was mostly I was interested in like something outside of typical experience. There's a lot of science fiction and like fantasy elements, and anything to kind of like break away. Maybe even surrealist elements to kind of break away of day-to-day life. I know there's a lot of bands, at least in the Western world, maybe everywhere, probably everywhere, but certainly in the West, that kind of write about their own life. And like if there's someone named Kelly, I'm writing a letter to Kelly. There's the real Kelly, but there's no real Kelly here. And so mostly it's about like, for me, what I was mostly interested in would be like not just day-to-day stuff, you know, like more like I don't know, dream worlds, pastiches. Yeah, and I like to include, if I can throw in some phrases and lyrics that are either invented, neologismos, Latin, French. The better if I don't know the language. Like to include words that I don't know the meaning of, or think I know the meaning of, and that's maybe better because it leads you down paths and tainted highways. And I would say I want to, maybe one day I'll put in some of my own neologisms. I'm going to tell you now a good one I have. So maybe this will make it to the next record. I made up a neologismo, and I thought maybe I would tell you right now so that I can take credit for it. So if anyone tries to take it, right now we're in kind of a pé sujo. It's called It's not really a pé sujo, but my neologismo in Portuguese is pé limpo, which is a.
You know what a pé sujo means in Portuguese?
I know what a pé sujo means. Do you know what a pé sujo means?
Yeah.
But my neologismo is pé limpo, because pé limpo is like a boteco that is trying to tá fingindo que ser pé sujo, mas é granfa mesmo, tipo uma mistureba de zona oeste aqui em São Paulo com o centro. Então, lugar fingindo ser pé sujo, mas é pé limpo porque é granfa. So that's my neologism in Portuguese. And then now I'll go to Dan about the lyrics.
Okay.
It's a difficult question to answer, I think, because there's a variety of different approaches with the lyrics. A lot of times it'll be just something that you think of out of nowhere and it maybe even makes no sense. I would say most of the time, in my experience, I would think the music kind of leads the way into what the song is trying to say. And I don't know that I could identify exactly how that works or why it works, but sometimes it's just a phrase that you think of or that you heard or something that just popped into your mind that sounded right. And then maybe it works over a certain type of song and you just expand on it over time. It's really like, honestly, it doesn't always feel that intentional on my behalf. It just sort of like comes out the way it works, and hopefully you can kind of stand behind the words that you want to sing. and then it feels good. But it doesn't always feel like there's any sort of there's not a big message that I feel like personally that I'm trying to send out to people. You know, it's just like a story or something that seemed interesting to me at the time. You know, and yeah, I kind of agree with Josh in that, you know, I'm not sure it matters whether there's a real Kelly or a fake Kelly, or if, you know, if the words are representing something real or not. To me, it doesn't really matter, especially when you put it to music. And that's kind of the power of music, is it allows you to kind of take words that might mean one thing when you put them on a page, and maybe they mean something totally different when you hear them in the context of a song or a music. So for me, the kind of music comes first, and the words are something that hopefully fits along with it, and something that I can kind of enjoy singing, and hopefully people will enjoy listening to it as well.
Ok, ok. Eu estava conversando aqui então com o Josh e com o Dan, né, sobre a questão da composição das letras, né, como é que eles criam as letras. O Josh falou que ele falou assim, tough one, né? Não é uma pergunta fácil, é difícil essa, né? Então ele falou que ele gosta muito de se inspirar em coisas fantásticas, né, como por exemplo a ficção científica, a fantasia, né, algo além da realidade, né? E ele entende que há bandas, né, que falam sobre o seu cotidiano, sobre a sua vida, sobre coisas que vivenciam, mas que no caso dele, às vezes, um personagem não precisa, ele citou, digamos, o nome, a Kelly, né, enfim, pode ser uma pessoa real ou não, isso não faz diferença. Mas que ele tem essa questão de se inspirar em, digamos, no Dream World, né, no mundo dos sonhos, para criar as suas composições, as suas letras. E ele também diz que ele gosta de se inspirar em neologismos, né? Palavras, enfim, estrangeiras, né? Que ele pega e às vezes meio sem saber o significado ou sabendo, e se inspira nisso para criar uma canção. E citou o exemplo aí do pé sujo, né? Que ele aprendeu aqui no Brasil, que pé sujo são aqueles botecos, né? Digamos assim, mais populares, né? Que você chega ali, tem aquela linguicinha e tal. Enfim, ele falou até em português essa parte. O Dan, ele falou que em relação à criação das letras, que também é uma questão difícil dele definir, né? Que tem referências diversas, né? Que às vezes vem uma ideia, né? E ele transforma e ele leva isso para uma música, né? Coisas que saem da cabeça dele, né? Algo que ele ouviu, algo que ele está sentindo, algo que simplesmente sai. Eles estão fazendo aí o sinal do Lula e sai simplesmente da cabeça dele, e ele transforma, e às vezes depende muito de como essa letra também vai funcionar no contexto da música, com arranjo, como que os fãs vão tocar. Então, assim, falou que para ele é um processo diversificado de criação. Ok? Guys, the American independent music scene has always been very rich. How is the scene today in your country? The indie rock scene, the independent scene. Is there a space in the media, in the clubs to play, record labels, and everything else to the indie band, to the independent bands?
Josh and I were or I guess Dan and I were talking about this earlier. You know, record labels kind of require you to come up with your own sound and be your own creators. You know, if there's space for experiment, it's because you're experimenting in the bedroom, you know, with the recording rig that you built yourself, you know. So it's kind of up to everyone to come up with something new. It's not really, I mean, what you hear on the radio is all hip hop and pop and, you know, even like current stuff. So it's really important that you experiment on your own and come up with something new that people haven't heard before. But there is definitely space for that. It may not be like a money-making space right away, but that's not what it's about. It's about like finding your own sound. I feel like there's a lot of room for that, especially in America.
Okay.
America, United States. Yeah, I think it's pretty good. It's a mixed answer, because I think I found more interest for stuff from our latest works, which are weirder to some degree. There's a line going through all the songs, I think, to some degree, but the weirder we make it, the more people like it, which is great. We wouldn't make it so that they like it, but if we make a weirder song, those seems to go over all right in the United States, which is a good sign. On the other hand, infrastructurally, it's not that great in the U.S. The middle of the country is, as far as independent culture, it's a mess. The university towns, which are charming 30 years ago, now do not have independent music venues. I mean, Lawrence, Kansas might be one, but I could give you, I'm not going to pick on any towns in particular, but there are a lot of towns that don't have, that were vital sort of like places for independent stuff or new and emerging stuff. And now they only have a theater and karaoke bars and top 40 bars. And university towns, which used to be thriving sort of like slightly subversive weirdo towns, have now turned into mini corporate parks. So that's the other side. There's places like Richmond, Virginia is great and always has been like that as far as that goes. But I would say Brazil is doing pretty well too. I'm liking what I'm seeing as far as like new and interesting and weird places. In fact, yeah, I would say Brazil is doing very well, but as far as the United States goes, it seems like it's almost more coastal. A lot of bands that I know that even bands that play to a very large crowds in New York just skip Kansas. They skip the middle of the country. And of course they're going to miss out if they do that on a few things, but it's also about the infrastructure not being quite the same, which is fine because there are just other places that are going to have more vital culture. Eastern Europe, I don't know, Croatia is great, and Canada, I don't know, Mexico has a lot more of that popping up, but so it's 50-50. Here goes Dan.
Yeah, I think what Anthony said about there's a lot more opportunity for bands to create their own material and to distribute their own material themselves, which I think is great. It brings a lot more people into the process, creates a lot of more music. I think right now it feels like there's less of an opportunity for any of those bands to blow up and explode into the mainstream, which was a little more common maybe in the 90s when the pool was a little bit smaller and there was more outlets for distribution for a smaller amount of bands. So I wonder if, part of it is that you do have these thriving scenes of bands in local places that do very well in those places, but maybe we don't even know about them. For instance, we have a lot of friends in Toronto. There's a very vibrant music scene in Toronto. A lot of those bands that I know, they might never make it far out of Toronto. People might never hear about them, but maybe within these local communities, you're seeing very active, vibrant scenes where bands are able to build a fan base, tour regionally, but less able to break out into the radio or all of the these bigger outlets that are going to have make them national or international acts. So maybe I don't really know how it is in a lot of places, but judging by New York, it feels like there's more bands actually than ever right now. It's like everyone's making music. There's a lot of venues. It's very happening, and I don't know. I don't know how much of that will translate to the rest of the country or the rest of the world, but it seems fine where we are, and I hope that in a lot of other places it's the same. Like Josh mentioned, Richmond. There's other places that we've been several times and seen a lot of bands and know a lot of people that are working really hard. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to make music and to find their sound. I don't know if there's a lot of opportunity for them to transcend past where their origin is. And I'm not sure whether that's a good or a bad thing, actually. Maybe it's all right to have more bands and less ultra famous, ultra mainstream bands,
Ok, ok. Eu fiz uma pergunta aí pro pessoal, pro Josh, pro Dan e pro Anthony, sobre a questão da cena independente americana, como é que tá a questão das bandas, lugares para tocar, espaço, né? O Anthony falou o seguinte, que cabe a cada um, né, criar o seu próprio som, né, e buscar o seu espaço, desbravar o seu espaço. Falou que as rádios, né, o mainstream é muito dominado por pop e por hip hop, mas cabe a você criar o seu espaço, né? Enfim, não se trata de dinheiro, né? De querer, de buscar dinheiro, de querer grana, mas de criar a sua própria música, a sua identidade, né? Falou que é mais ou menos assim que tem acontecido com as bandas independentes nos Estados Unidos. O Josh destacou, né, que tem alguns lugares onde tem uma cena musical independente mais forte, né, onde tem mais público e tal. Destacou que uma época havia um circuito universitário forte, né, onde havia esse espaço para as bandas independentes, né, que hoje tem alguns lugares onde acontece alguns movimentos interessantes. Citou, por exemplo, o caso da cidade de Richmond, na Virgínia, né, onde ele diz que tem espaços, né, que normalmente em alguma cidade, às vezes a cidade tem lá um teatro onde as bandas podem tocar e tal, né? Enfim, destacou que fora dos Estados Unidos também tem um movimento de bandas independentes interessantes, como é o caso do Brasil. Citou também o leste europeu, citou o México, citou o Canadá, né? Cidade de Toronto, né? E o Dan falou o seguinte, que tem muita gente hoje fazendo música. Olha ele tomando aí um Guaraná. Do you like Guaraná?
Guaraná é top. Ninguém gosta de Guaraná nesse país quanto eu. Tanto quanto eu.
É.
Guaraná é além do além. É alto astral. É o secreto da minha energia perpétua.
Ah, que bom. E o Dan falou o seguinte, que tem muitas pessoas hoje fazendo música nos Estados Unidos, muitas bandas, né, que muitas vezes essa coisa fica restrita ali à pequena cidade, né, que você vai naquela pequena cidade, às vezes tem uma banda que está tocando lá que talvez você não vá conhecer essa banda, mas mesmo assim tem os movimentos locais. Citou o caso da cidade de Nova York, parece que hoje tem mais bandas, mais artistas do que nunca tocando lá em New York City, né? Falou que tem muita oportunidade para o pessoal fazer música. Então, isso foi uma sinopse aí do que eles falaram a respeito da questão da cena indie norte-americana. I find interesting that you are on streaming, but you bring in this studio you brought CDs and LPs to sell. I bought 2 LPs and I bought a CD from you guys. I also bought this T-shirt, wonderful, beautiful T-shirt
Maravilhoso.
that I'm wearing right now. And I'd like to know from you, do you still listen to CDs and to LPs? And how do you see the importance of physical disc and streaming?
Our views. Yeah. I listen to mostly vinyl, and then YouTube a little bit, and then the other one not so much. The most popular one, I don't like what they do to masters. I think it's not for me. It makes everybody sound like Daniela Mercury, and I like Daniela Mercury, but I don't want to sound like Daniela Mercury necessarily every time. So that's why there's one or two that I don't listen to at all because they compress too much, and yeah, that's about it. But do I still have CDs? Yeah, sometimes I have a few CDs because if I come across like an acid house collection that I don't have and I see it on a CD, then I have to have it. So that way I'll have the acid house, all the acid house collections. Let me give it to Anthony.
Easy question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I subscribe to Spotify, and I like the way that they help artists get out there. So for me, it's kind of my way of digesting music, and it lets me listen to unlimited albums for a low cost. So I'm not going to hate on Spotify.
Dan? Well, acho que estamos tendo aí uma pequena Pequena questão de conexão. Hi, guys. Acho que deu uma travadinha aí na conexão deles. O Dan ia falar, mas só para traduzir aqui, eu tinha perguntado, enquanto a gente vê se retoma a conexão. Ah, deu uma queda aí. Hi, guys. Okay,
Hey, my
we're
friend.
back then.
Hey,
So,
can you hear me? Oh yeah, we're talking about how we listen to music. Personally, hello.
hello, can you hear me?
Okay, you can hear me.
Yeah, I
I
can
listen
hear
to
you.
music however I can get it. Honestly, I think there's um there's a lot to be said for like digital music distribution, YouTube, Spotify, whatever, Apple Music, all that crap is nice because you can call it up whenever you want. It's on demand. I appreciate that. I listen to records all the time. I listen to CDs. I have a lot of CDs. I don't buy as many new CDs anymore, but I have a huge collection of stuff that's the only way I can find it. You know, the digital music services are nice because they're there whenever you want them, but frankly, they don't have everything, obviously. So, you know, there's a lot of holes in that catalog. So, and also, there's a lot to be said to going into a record store and leafing through the stacks and looking at a cover about something and learning about something new. I think that the kind of in-person connection with the music with someone who can kind of guide your taste a little bit is helpful as well. We were in been going to record stores all throughout Brazil and kind of seeing what's there, seeing what looks cool, talking to the people behind.
Ok,
Yeah, so for me it's a
ok.
mix. I'll take it any way I can get it.
Ok. Eu perguntei para eles como é que eles ouvem música hoje, se eles ainda ouvem os discos físicos, né, e o streaming também, como é que é a relação deles com o streaming. O Josh falou que ele ouve muito vinil, gosta muito de ouvir os LPs, né? E que ele ouve streaming, mas acha que às vezes o som fica muito comprimido. Citou um exemplo aí da Daniela Mercury, que tem um ou dois discos dela, Daniela Mercury, cantora baiana, né? Muito conhecida no Brasil, que tem um ou dois discos dela que ele gosta e tal, mas que ele ouve às vezes porque acha isso, que o som fica muito comprimido. E que ele tem alguns CDs que ele gosta de ouvir também, e citou a coleção dele de discos de acid house. O Anthony falou que ele ouve basicamente Spotify, né? Porque ele gosta da forma como o Spotify ajuda os artistas e ele acha também interessante porque você paga, pode ouvir música de forma ilimitada, vários discos ilimitados, né? Por um custo muito baixo. O Dan diz que ele ouve de forma variada, né? Ouve os discos físicos, né? Mas também gosta de ouvir o streaming, ouve o YouTube, né? Ele diz que ele não compra muito mais os CDs, mas que ele tem uma grande coleção de CDs e que uma das coisas que ele acha legal quando ele viaja, como por exemplo vir ao Brasil, é de visitar as lojas de disco para ver o que está rolando, músicas novas, fazer contato com o pessoal, né? Kiki Met to Death mandando um alô aí, sending a message. Be hi. And guys, now let's talk a little about some facts that happened in the world in the last 20 years. Huh? And when the band emerged in the early 2000s, the world was going through a huge transformation due to the attacks on the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City and also in Pentagon, also the airplane that crashed in Pennsylvania. It was a very tragic day, 21 years after this tragic day. We still remember this, the most horrifying terrorism attack in all the time. And you are from New York City. What do you remember from this day, the September 11th?
Damn. Well,
Uh,
have to end it on a bad note.
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. It was a tragic day. I remember being extremely sad, extremely scared. You know, I think it feels like it was a different world after that day, but it feels like a lot of most generations have a time in their life where it feels like the world was changed on a certain day. Maybe September 11th was that way for us in America, maybe in other places of the world too. I don't really know. It's, to be honest, yeah, it's kind of a heavy feeling to look back on that time. But thankfully, it's not something I tend to think about all that often these days.
Hmm. Okay, Josh, do you have something to say about it?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I would say, I remember it and it was horrible, but at the same time, I remember thinking at some point, very within a day or two, or maybe hours, that it was like not terribly remarkable. That it's something that happens all the time in other places, maybe Brazil. So I didn't want to feel. I mean, horrible things are happening a lot everywhere. So that's something to think about. And so that's yeah, that's what I was thinking at the time. That like I try to, if something horrible happens to me or anyone, it's not sometimes nice to think that your suffering is not unique. So that's what I try to think about, because especially, well, not especially now, but a lot of times in the political world, people try to take advantage of moments to garner momentum for their cause, even if their cause is not good. So I don't want to. I think for political situations. Uh, Luckily, I don't know. Maybe we're out of the phase of that sort of action. I'd like to see less of it, but there are other more dispersed. I believe that's the technical term. Dispersed violence that happens, a more fully integrated and clever violence that could have happened technologically whenever financial systems rob people by the penny, billions at a
Josh,
time. So
Josh,
there are a lot
sorry,
of
sorry,
strange things that happen. Can you hear me?
interrupting. Yeah, because it was a little. I couldn't hear you very well. The,
Okay. Can I come over here?
I, okay, okay. Can you talk?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Now I can hear, but it was not very. I couldn't hear you very right, very well. And I remember that you
That's
were
fine
talking
because that
something
was my
about.
worst answer.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But what do you
Anthony,
want?
what? No,
What's
okay, I
that?
understand what you said. You said that horrible things happen not only in the United States but in the whole world and in Brazil. And after that, I couldn't hear you very well.
Yeah, that
But
was the part that I wanted to mention. I mean, it was a little disturbing. I mean, it was nice to see other people worrying about New York at the time, but also it was a little strange because things like that do happen in other places and people don't care. So that's what
mhm,
I was thinking at the time. Even
okay,
though
I
it
understand.
was not. Yeah, I was feeling pretty bad for everybody as well.
Okay, okay, okay. Anthony wants to talk something about it.
Anthony went to the bathroom, but I just wanted to add
Uh,
one thing, to kind of bring it back to the music. We lost. There was, you know, it was it was a very tragic day. But there was another thing that we got to make sure that the song New York City Cops by the Strokes isn't erased from history, because after 9/11, when the Strokes released their great album, Is This It, they took that song off of the American release because the New York City Cops, I think they were a little bit sensitive at the time. So we hope for a full reversal of that, and want to make sure that song is remembered.
Yes,
okay, okay,
that's a
okay.
good point.
Ok, eu perguntei para eles, falei assim, vamos falar de alguns fatos aí que aconteceram nos últimos anos, né? E citei como eles são de Nova York, eu falei, perguntei para eles sobre os atentados do 11 de setembro, né? No qual morreram quase 3.000 pessoas, né? Atentados estes que completaram 21 anos no último 11 de setembro e tiveram lugar em Nova York, quando as torres gêmeas do World Trade Center foram destruídas, no Pentágono e também no avião que caiu na Pensilvânia. Então foi o seguinte, o Dan, ele disse que foi um dia muito triste, né, que ele, enfim, lembra, né, com muita tristeza, que é difícil para ele voltar, né, recordar esses fatos, né, que aconteceram, que é um sentimento muito pesado, né, e, enfim, que acha que a partir dali os Estados Unidos mudaram e o mundo também mudou. E o Josh, ele disse o
Oh,
seguinte, que também foi para ele uma data triste, uma data pesada, mas que ele sabe que as coisas ruins não acontecem só nos Estados Unidos da América, como foi no 11 de setembro, mas acontecem no mundo inteiro, inclusive no Brasil. Que ele achou muito bacana as pessoas se preocuparem com Nova York, demonstrarem solidariedade com Nova York, mas que ao mesmo tempo ele se não acha, fica um pouco triste desse sentimento de solidariedade não ser estendido a outros lugares do mundo onde também ocorrem tragédias. Okay, guys, and I just wanted to know how has a little about the elections, the last election in the United States when Trump was went out and Joe Biden came. What are your impressions about the Joe Biden era? Do you think it's much better than it was with Trump?
okay. Well, I guess I'm a good one. I should say we may be running low on energy, but let's try to get another question in too. But I'll try to answer it quickly because our we have a
Okay,
very pé
Anderson.
sujo setup right here.
Okay,
You
okay,
know what I
okay.
mean? My setup,
Yeah.
it's Copanzinho all the way. But yeah. Oh, what are my impressions? Well, I don't think the president has a little bit to do with, I guess, any country. I don't know about the United States. I the only presidential candidate lately I've supported or let's say contributed to would be Lula. Although I don't have citizenship here, I did buy some T-shirts from their campaign. Uh, Biden, I don't know. He doesn't have a lot of history of being a friend of mine or a friend of the people. More importantly, but is it different from Trump? No. I mean, he's he's a neo-colonial guy who shouldn't be trusted. Um, Take what you can get, I guess. I don't know, but the United States doesn't have a left wing. You know, there's no left in the United States, and I don't know. I think I like local politics better. We went down here to the Ocupação de 9 de Julho, and stuff like that is more effective to me than the big politics. Local politics and initiatives. So that's what I'm more interested in. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer any better than that. I don't.
Okay, okay, I
I'm
understand.
not a fan of
É,
his work. I'm not a fan of his work. I like I like Tony Bennett, but I just don't keep up on what he does. So, you know, I mean, I'm more of a Brian De Palma guy than Martin Scorsese, and I'm a bigger fan of let's say Marielle Franco than Joe Biden.
ok, I understand.
There
Jojo
goes
Ferreira,
Dan.
de Juiz de Fora, que já esteve aqui, mandando um abraço. Obrigado, Jojo. O Josh me avisou que a bateria dele está chegando no fim. Então, Dan, you want to talk something about Biden?
No, I think Josh said it well. I think it's probably better than having no president at all, but maybe not even. I'm not really sure. Um, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Joe Biden or really almost any politician in America right now.
Ok. Bom, gente, eu perguntei para eles o que eles achavam da mudança, né, da última eleição, quando o Trump saiu e entrou o Joe Biden, mas parece que eles não gostam muito do Joe Biden, não. O Josh, ele disse que ele gosta do Lula, que ele comprou várias camisetas do Lula, que o presidente dele é o Lula, que ele está mais interessado em dar uma volta por São Paulo, curtir a 9 de julho, e que nos Estados Unidos ele é fã do Tony Bennett, do Martin Scorsese, cineasta, enfim, mas ele não curte muito o Joe Biden. Falou que nos Estados Unidos não existe esquerda, né? Enfim, como tem no Brasil. E o Dan também falou a mesma coisa, que ele também não é muito fã do Joe Biden, que para ele seria o ideal que não houvesse presidentes e tal, e que ele não gosta de nenhum político americano. Guys, I know that your battery is low, so let's talk just one more thing. Where are you going after Brazil? And what are your projects? Your plans?
After Brazil, I'll be Anthony and I are leaving tomorrow to go back to the United States, and we're going to continue working on a new album that we've been recording for the last couple of years. We have a bunch of tracks that are in progress right now. We don't exactly know what we're going to do with it or how we want to release it, but right now we're just in the studio working. And we're going to be setting up some shows in New York City coming up in the next few months. Nothing that we can announce right now. But right now, yeah, we're really just writing and recording and thinking about what we want to do next musically. So hopefully in the next year to come, we'll have some new music to release and a whole lot more shows to play for everyone.
Okay. What about you, Josh? What are you going to do after Brazil?
Primeira coisa, eu quero agradecer a todo o público, a galera que chegou nos nossos shows aqui, lugares legais, tipo Inferninhos, como Mercadinho do Lasanha e todos, Bolshoi Bar em Goiânia, NSC, Juiz de Fora. Eu quero agradecer a todas as pessoas, nem somente a quantidade de pessoas, mas também, tipo, o fervo da festa, sabe? So I wanted to say thank you to everyone there. And then we're doing, we're going to do a new record, and we have a new video that debuted by Benji Cast. It's called I Dreamed a song called Habibi. It's a complicated name, but it's in a... So we're going to probably maybe screen that at some other places. It's screened at a couple of international festivals. And maybe we'll work on another film, like a small film or something like that. But a lot of recording when we get back. And, and I wanted to say, if anyone has any more ideas about where we could play, we will come. We are trying to set up some mega shows in Brazil next year too. And that will probably happen in 2023.
Ok. Vou traduzir então a nossa última pergunta aí pro Josh e pro Dan Rosato, né? Perguntei o que eles iam fazer depois dessa turnê, depois de saírem do Brasil. O Dan disse que está voltando amanhã para Nova York, né? Eles estão gravando um disco novo, tem várias músicas novas sendo trabalhadas, né, que eles não sabem quando que vão terminar de gravar, nem quando que vai ser lançado, mas estão lá, que eles também têm alguns shows em Nova York para acontecer aí em breve. E o Josh falou um pouquinho em português com a gente, ele também disse que ele queria agradecer, né, ao público brasileiro pela energia, as pessoas que participaram aí, nos diversos lugares por onde eles tocaram, né, São Paulo, Juiz de Fora, né, disse que exatamente quando eles voltarem para Nova York, né, vai se dedicar à gravação, tem várias coisas aí que eles estão querendo gravar, muitas gravações, né, e também estão com ideia de tocar em festivais, né, festivais internacionais, inclusive estão abertos aí a sugestões de quem tiver ideia de lugares onde eles possam tocar, que eles querem tocar e que eles estão preparados aí para voltar em 2023 e fazer mega shows no Brasil. So, Josh, Westfal, Dan Rosato, Anthony Spinnato, I'd like to thank you so much for being here today and for talking about your career, your music. You are fantastic. I really like your music. I'm your fan. Thank you so much for being here. You're very kind guys, and I wish you a nice trip back to the United States. Thank you so much, and come back to Brazil more times.
Firmeza, mano. Obrigado. Tchau. Tchau, público.
Tchau.
Thank you, Marcelo. Tchau.
Anthony, bye bye, Anthony. Então, só para falar aqui, nós estivemos conversando hoje com o Dan Rosato, que é guitarrista, tecladista e vocalista, o Josh Westfal, também é guitarrista, vocalista e tecladista, Anthony Spinnato, baterista, e tivemos a participação,
beijo na boca,
um flash com John Reeve, que é também tecladista, e o Daniel Rombá, baixista.